Do you remember the scene in The Office where Michael Scott is asked, "What are you doing right?" This softball question, and he has no idea how to answer it? Well, at his Fox News town hall, Trump is asked a softball, "What are you going to do if you get a second term? What are your priorities?" And this is what he said.
And what are your top priority items for a second term?
Well, one of the things that will be really great, the word experience is still good. I always say talent is more important than experience. I've always said that. But the word experience is a very important word. It's in a very important meaning. I never did this before. I never slept over in Washington. I was in Washington, I think, 17 times. All of a sudden, I'm president of the United States. You know the story. I'm riding down Pennsylvania Avenue with our first lady, and I say, this is great. But I didn't know very many people in Washington. It wasn't my thing. I was from Manhattan, from New York. Now I know everybody. And I have great people in the administration. You make some mistakes, like, an idiot like Bolton, all he wanted to do is drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to drop bombs on everybody. You don't have to kill people.
If John Bolton, in fact, released classified material, should he be prosecuted?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Well, he did release classified.
I like Hannity pulling the ripcord on that softball there. He's like, I gotta get this guy out. Just riff on Bolton for a bit. But Brett, I mean, is that the right characterization? Michael Scott has no idea what to say, so he just starts talking.
Especially because in that episode he's brought in to share because he is the most successful branch, and it becomes clear that he has no idea how or why he did that.
Yeah.
And it has and any success has nothing to do with his guidance or leadership. And worse than that, he doesn't even know anything about guidance or leadership. He's just his own doddering self. And kind of racist self, and then against all odds, he finds success, and that's kind of how Trump was, and that's how Trump answered that question. Trump answers that question I guess I'm just going to talk in ways that my mind guides me, and I, in this sentence, am being guided, and
yeah,
and that's what it is. It is, and then is that his strategy? Is his strategy just to say, I guess if you wanted to compare him to a comedian, he is still working on his material for the election because he knows he wants to say something like, listen, I was the benefit of the benefit of the benefit of the doubt is I got here with no experience and I've been this successful. Now I know who to talk to and who to work with.
Yeah.
And, if you think one of my weaknesses that I've been called out for lately is by hiring people that I say are great, firing them when they actually do moderately sane things, given how insane they actually are. Now you're mad at me for my personnel choices because because Bolton's what's in the news right now. This seems like his defense against that on the way to saying it'll be even better now because I know better than to hire the Boltons. I know better than to bring in all these people who have had a negative effect on my administration. And to a certain extent, he's right. He won't hire those people anymore because no one's coming to him the way they used to. They used to say, okay, I'll be the first, last, and only line of defense against the worst scum of the United States, Donald Trump, in a way that is kind of glad handing him and saying, hey, sir, you're so smart, sir, but before you push that nuclear button, maybe we should think of some other things.
Yeah.
While Trump thinks that they're on his side, but maybe he won't do that because those people just aren't around to think they can have any positive effect anymore.
Maybe that's what he's trying to get across. To me, it sounds a little bit like after running on Washington is the most inherently corrupt place in the world. We need to get outsiders in there. He's now saying it's just, better once you've been in D.C. for a while and you know people and you know how things work.
It just shows how dumb he is because, okay, if you think insiders in Washington are a good idea, how about 30 to 50,000 year veteran of Washington, Joe Biden?
Yeah, it's a weird point to make. But the overall point that he was just asked, what do you want to do if we give you the most powerful position in the world again? And he starts talking about, I'd never done a sleepover in D.C. and I was driving with the First Lady and I said, this is great. Like, after saying that Biden is losing his mind, that to me, like you can take that whole big paragraph and say he's sort of saying he's learned. But for me, it's just, I would feel so bad if I found myself in a conversation with someone like this. I would feel so bad for them. Madness.
And how often do you think presidents of the United States have said the word sleepover? And not just presidents, grown ass men have said the word sleepover when not giving permission to a kid to have a sleepover.
Yeah. And
the baby.
So finally, and we have other news we gotta get to, but I just point this out for if there's anyone in the country who still thinks that Trump is an alpha male, tough guy, he can stand up to anything. Like, not only did he get that softball, once they turned to the audience, Daniel Dale tweeted out the first 3 questions he got were, what do you think is your greatest accomplishment? How will you give us back our streets? And how will you make sure we don't have mail voting fraud? Tough questions for the embattled president. It's the Fox bunker. That's what it is.
It's amazing.
Okay.
And he hates it. And he treats it like trash when it even remotely signals that it might have its priorities somewhere near the right place.
Yeah.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.